here in the room or on Zoom has any updates for us?
Do you want me to pull up the slides?
Please, that would be great. Recording in progress. Thank you.
Eduardo has community updates.
I was letting other people speak,
Do you
but,
want me to go to the agenda?
yeah, so we have the Dia de los Muertos, which is happening November 9th. That's partnering with Sandra. She's amazing. And then Anthony's doing trunk or treat, which we're also helping out with. It's gonna be a party. I'm getting the Museum of Nature and Science is gonna donate museum tickets to give out to families.
Oh, wonderful. They did last year as well. True story, just full disclosure. They donated to us last year for the trunk or treat and we didn't bring them with us. And so we had all of these tickets. So what I was able to do was the 250 tickets that went to all of the residents for stock show, they also got free tickets.
Heck yeah.
So I was able to use them for that.
Awesome.
Bless them, we won't forget them this time.
You want to say the date of the trunk or treat?
The trunk or treat is gonna be held on October the 30th from 4 to 6 p.m.
And
Dia de los Muertos is November 9th, second Saturday at CSU Spur from 10 to 2.
And my colleague Ryan Mayer, Ryan, M-A-H-R-E-R, Marn Mayer. He's coordinating all of the community events now for the staff. He's going to be leading and coordinating the trunk or treat as I will be out of the country. So, but still, and we've raised a great amount of money for sponsorship. So we're really excited with all the activities and other events, including the candy giveaway, so.
Okay, any other, updates? Okay, so let's go on to the
I'd
national.
like to make an update.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see your hand. Is that Armando?
Yes,
Thank you, Armando. Sorry, I apologize.
that's okay. United Community Action Network, we're in the process of completing the application for the $20 million community change grant. And one of the aspects of that community change grant is the National Western Stock Show. Joe McCulloch, one of your colleagues there, will be leading one of the efforts of I call them environmental action plans. We'll be doing composting in collaboration with the National Western Stock Show as part of our community change grant. And there's some other features that we're submitting to EPA. And I think what's different and unique about us is that we're partnering with, it's called Via Mobility. They're a transportation hub, and we'll be able to provide transportation to all the activities that we have planned in our community change grant. And I believe that's what sets us apart. I know the city and county of Denver submitting an EPA community change grant with some of the other CBOs, community nonprofit organizations and GES, and hopefully, we both get selected here. But anyway, just wanted to share that with you. Let the staff and the colleagues know at the National Western that we do have some exciting times coming forward from EPA. Hopefully, it'll be injected into GES.
Thank you, Armando. Best wishes and good luck.
Sure.
Any others? No, I don't see any hands up. Updates from the National Western Center. Steve, I think you're up with both the Equestrian Center and the hotel as well as the sign plan.
Great. I will start with the Equestrian Center, Park Garage, Hotel project. I'm gonna share slides here. Bear with me for 1 second. Go on full screen. We have more black boxes up top. I have an issue with my Zoom. Anyways, what you're seeing here is a save of the drawing on September 18th. So some things have changed since then. We're constantly evolving this drawing, and the design process for the Equestrian Center, hotel parking garage. This is a plan view. North is to the right, west is, to the top of the drawing. The street along the top is National Western Drive. Across that street is the riverfront open space, along the South Platte River. You're seeing an arena, warm-up paddocks and stables in the white, here. You guys see my cursor?
Yep.
Good. We have loading that comes off of National Western Drive, into a loading area for the stables. That is back behind two buildings that we're calling Build Two, which is a zoning requirement, but that will be a building built up to the street. And the current thinking is that that is a greenhouse. And then at the community building, this is the 4,000 square feet that we've been discussing for several months now. And this is the location that community members preferred. We went out and walked with our task force members, the Equestrian Center task force members, and had some options, and this was the location that was preferred. So we'll get into more detail on community building here momentarily. Across from the stables is the parking garage, all the way basically along National Western Drive and the service drive along the stockyards. And then the hotel hugs the corner of the stables, and it hugs this connection from 51st Avenue over the South Platte River into this plaza, which is a direct connection past the water tower to the RTD, future RTD pedestrian bridge. So you can get pretty much a straight shot to the rail platform for the community. Next to the hotel, the Armor building, Armor Admin building, which is the historic structure, landmark structure, former offices of the slaughter and packing house facilities that were there historically. And the thinking is that the Armor building will be part of the food and bev, restaurant and meeting space operated by the hotel. The hotel itself will also have another restaurant in it, a bar, and then a rooftop terrace with a pretty view of downtown and looking south and to the west. You're seeing a lot of plaza space here, and this hatching would be underground utilities, so that's a little confusing, makes the drawing pretty loud, but or not chaotic, but that's all occurring below ground. You're seeing a lot of trees that we're able to introduce along the plaza, which we weren't able to introduce on the portion where all the utilities are located, because there's stuff underground, you can't plant trees there. The pink color, these are future development sites. So these will not be developed as part of this project, but will be developed in the future, to be determined what the uses are there. But we've tried to carve out some pieces of ground that we can develop in the future. So moving into kind of a bird's eye view, it's a little, the scale is a little weird here. It's not in perspective view, so the building looks a little strange, but this is looking from the livestock center over the main campus plaza. Way out in the distance would be the riverfront open space and the river. Where in the foreground, we see the main entrance into the arena. To the right of the arena, you can see the Armor building, and the hotel is the shape of the hotel to the right of the Armor building. Still a lot more detail to come. But the hotel will be 6, maybe 7 stories. It'll be a pretty tall structure, taller than the other structures around it. And that helps for hotel rooms to have a view over the structure and that rooftop deck, which would have a great view as well. The future pad sites are showing up as this kind of translucent shape. We don't know what those would be, but we're trying to indicate that there could be something there in the future as well. This is a view from, we're up above the river here. We're looking back towards the livestock center over the equestrian center. You're seeing that National Western Drive facade and some early thinking on the community space here in a greenhouse that these buildings will be right up on the street. and accessible from the street. Behind them you're seeing the loading with it. These are big tractor trailers. We're making sure that we can fit those, but typical equestrian events have a smaller truck with a trailer, but we're just making sure that we can accommodate larger trucks. You're looking at the stables, the paddocks, and the arena. The off to the left is the hotel shape, and you're seeing a little bit of the Armor building. Across the main campus plaza is the livestock center. So now we're down on the grounds. We have perspective views. This is how it will be experienced. This is not yet in color, except for the sky. But this is the thinking and the experience. This is the main entry for the main campus plaza. Another view of that. This is a secondary entrance. This behind us in this image is the river. To the right is CSU Spur Vita. We are looking at that drive between Vita and the Equestrian Center, National Western Drive right behind us. Okay, so now we're going to focus a little bit on the build to. So again, this is a zoning requirement, requires a building to be up to the street. The thinking here is, and this was part of the proposal and part of the direction that we've been discussing for a while, is producing food on the campus. This could be an opportunity to do that. The bottom right image is of CSU Spur Terra and the greenhouse up top, the rooftop greenhouse. The top right image is of the Botanic Gardens. And this has been somewhat of the discussion where you're growing food, but you also have the opportunity to have event space inside of the greenhouse that the community could use as well. This is the very early concept, and this is kind of a look and feel of what is being like precedent examples of what's out there that we could be inspired by. The community building would be just adjacent to the greenhouse. This is the 4,000 square feet, and this is very conceptual at this point. We did present this to the task force and received some good direction. I'll talk about that direction we received around look and feel, and these precedent images as not necessarily being the most appropriate. This is more of a barn look and feel from a massing perspective, and this is helpful to have a pitched roof and help with the screening of the loading behind. But it's not consistent with the neighborhood character. So the design team is working on a new look and feel inspiration. The expression, I think, was better received by the task force, especially the bottom images with all the color, the style of architecture that's represented there. So that was good direction back from the task force to inform the look and feel of these spaces. So now we have two different options that we're showing here. The top option is a one-room option of the community space. The community space is to the right. There's a patio in the middle, and then the greenhouse is to the left. The top option is one big flexible room with bathrooms. There would be a kitchen, with a pretty standard kitchen, so you could host events in the space. Electrical room, mechanical room, and then a door out to a patio, enclosed patio. The thinking with the enclosure there is that kids could go out there and not run out the street, they'd be closed inside the fence. The lower option would be two spaces, one slightly larger flex space and then a smaller flex space to break up their two rooms into two meeting rooms. And the direction we received was it would be better and more flexible to have one big room. We can always break this room up with a partition in the future, but this gives the community the most flexibility in how the space could be used, from events to gatherings, parties, even the possibility of a market where we could have along the street itself, we could have roll-up doors, and it could be a place for a pop-up selling of food. So that was the direction we received, and that's the design team is going to continue along those lines of one larger room. And then from a building form and massing perspective, we have two different options. The top option is the one room option, where You have an entrance more to the left, and to the right is the big room. To the left would be the restrooms and support services, and then all the way to the left is that enclosed patio. The bottom option shows a two-room option, but there is a difference in the roof line. We're seeking some guidance here. The roof line on the bottom option was preferred as a clear story, allows light and brings more light into the space. That design element was preferred over the, sorry, I'm just trying to respond to the chat here. Preferred over the top option. And then other direction we received was related more to the style. And this last slide, if I can get to it, starts to show how color could be integrated into the space along the wall, as the community could paint the wall via a local artist. But some folks had a reaction that this is too modern and not representative of the style of the neighborhood, and others liked it. So I think there's definitely some work that has to be done here. But this starts to show the space and how it could function standing within that central patio between the greenhouse and the community space and out on the sidewalk in front of it. So that's the last slide, and that really kind of encapsulates the discussion.
Hayes had a comment in the chat just about
Yep.
the type of windows and glass that is being used.
Cooling misters on the patios. Yeah, it's a good point. It's something that we've heard from our CSU partners is that the backyard behind Hydro is southwestern facing and it's very hot. Luckily, that northern patio is north facing, so it would be, well, in the middle of summer at high noon, it's going to get a lot of sun. But there could be natural shading that happens there, but that's a good idea. Part of that trellis structure that you're seeing, that concept of the wood structure is to break up the sunlight. So it's not just sitting out in the sun. So that's the discussion so far. There's still a lot of work to do. That was just an initial concept on the community space, but we got good direction. We will continue to update as we to this team and to task force as we move the design along.
Yeah, I saw your note, Amy, sorry, I couldn't see your full notes without a reprinter. The windows, but Steve caught it, so thank you for that. Jenna, can we just go to full screen maybe with the participants?
What am I doing?
So that's the update on equestrian parking garage. I'm happy to take any questions or any other guidance beyond the misters.
Steve, it says you're still sharing.
Great.
There we go. Questions in the room or in the Zoom room?
I just have a comment. So we hosted the task force meeting last week and there was probably, I would say, around 10 task force members that were there. And I appreciated that they showed those slides and the community just said, no, we don't like those. Or that, it's too modern, we love the color, and just recognizing that that we heard that, and so now the team is gonna go back and come up with some other options. It was just a first approach to just showing some ideas. And community shared their thoughts around those concepts and ideas, and they're gonna switch them up, which I think is why the task force meets, is to get, we want to get community feedback and hear their thoughts. Coming up with other ideas is also beneficial to this process. So I wanted to just acknowledge that.
We still have several more months of design work and we're in this design phase, and that's we'll continue to talk about the design of this space and make sure it is representative of what the community desires. I think there was some really positive feedback around the 1 room versus 2 rooms, just for flexibility. And also some good feedback from the types of uses that can occur in the space. And it's what we're hearing is that we're working more towards an event space, a gathering space for the community that is designed in a way that's flexible and can be used in different ways. And that's that one big room where you have roll-up doors and could do a pop-up market and other pop-up activities in that big room, or you can have a big party or a wedding or quinceanera, although we were told that it's too small for a quinceanera in this neighborhood. So there's a lot more to discuss there, and but I thought it was a good meeting. We're always gonna get a mixture of opinions about style, but I think we got good direction of it needs to be more representative of what exists in the community.
There's one comment from Ann, I don't know if you can see that, Steve. If you wanted to,
Just size of restrooms.
just the size of the restroom to hold events, including the greenhouse.
It's really a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is what we are doing. We're trying to hit an assembly occupancy for fixtures and egress. So that we're not, limited to 20 people or something like that. I think what we are shooting for is something closer to 100, 150 range. So there's more to discuss there, but we're also designing the bathrooms. I think the direction is that it's several individual bathrooms as opposed to two banks, men and women. That too allows for greater flexibility and how it's used. So thanks for that, Ann.
Thank you. We actually did that at the Rhino Art Park in the Trust House. Those are single-use restrooms. They're not allocated to either gender.
Great. How's that working out?
I've not heard a complaint.
That's good.
Yeah, I wondered, but I have not heard any complaints.
We have another comment here. We'll make sure we're reading this. Yeah, that absolutely. I think as we get into more detailed design AE, we'll start talking about audio visual capabilities in the space, Wi-Fi, all those needs. It will have all of those things, and we're ensuring that as with the floor plan itself, that those systems will provide flexibility as well. And that's the level of detail we'll get into as we step through design with the task force.
Sounds like the task force is doing a really good job of giving you the input that you saw.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to the signage plan.
Great, so, totally different project, district sign plan, I've talked about this several times. So we are writing the rule book around signs for the campus. Anthony sent out the latest draft to the CAC. I do not believe we've received any comments on that draft. We are submitting that draft with a couple of tweaks to some maps. The city has requested additional detail on the map, like show us where the actual streets are and show us what is built, just so that there's better reference to the map. They're a little too general. That has really been the feedback from the city so far. So we're making those changes, resubmitting to the city. And we are hopeful to go to planning board on November 20th. I have not yet confirmed that date with planning board, but that's what we're shooting for. 20th or the following planning board in December. So we'll have more detail on exactly which date, but there will be a public hearing at planning board. We're seeking their approval to get the plan in place, and then we will start using the documents to inform design of future signs. The next sign package that will come through on the campus will be the signs for the livestock center. So the timing of getting the planning board is really critical so that the signs could be permitted and fabricated and installed in time for the opening of the building for Stock Show 26.
Any questions about the signage plan? Thank you, Steve. Mike, let's hear from with the Nwca update.
Thank you. And I'm gonna apologize in advance. Marcy's unable to join us tonight, so I'm gonna be trying to stand in and represent some of the comms and construction impacts. So I'll do my best, but if there's specific questions, we'll have to defer. I can get you answers later this week. But before I jump into the GES program of projects update, quick update on scenario planning for Triangle in future phases. We have selected our community outreach work group, and we have our first meeting set next week. With that group, there ended up being, I believe, 14 members. And so we will be kicking that off next week. And as we've discussed before, trying not to presuppose too much or presuppose the process too much, and really looking to work with this group to develop the outreach and engagement plan around the planning efforts that are on their way. So happy to continue to bring updates to CAC as that progresses. On the GES program of projects, or POP, not sure if that's caught on yet or if it ever will.
We're trying to make it happen.
No, I gotta try, right? Let me just bring up real quick, there's two particular items. And this is where I'm gonna not know whether this has been fully shared and sent out. I believe it has, okay.
She sent it out. We had our GES partners meeting this morning, and so she mentioned the pop comms concept and
Perfect.
the two construction updates.
Okay, so the first one is Franklin Bridge, or Franklin Street Bridge rehabilitation. And let's see if I can use this. Aha. So we are obviously right down here. The bridge in question is up here off Race Court, where Franklin comes in as National Western Drive transitions to Franklin headed north. If you've driven around here recently, you've seen that it is currently closed in both directions. That full closure will go through the 29th. So on September 30th, it will reopen to one lane as they complete their work. So just be aware that those impacts will continue for another week or so, and then it will go back to something that's a little more accessible. I don't have the full end date of the one lane when it opens back up from full closure, but I'll circle back with Marcy and make sure we get that out. So that's one. The other is the Lincoln Underpass pedestrian improvements. This is just kicking off. And construction will begin on Monday, September 30th. That's just next week. And this really is pedestrian improvements to the underpass on Lincoln Street under I-70. And it will, the pedestrian and safety enhancements between 46th Avenue and 46th Avenue in Globeville, East 46th Avenue. They include lighting upgrades, sidewalk, pedestrian curb ramp improvements, bulb outs, so concrete bulb outs for parking, green infrastructure enhancements, and additional vegetation. So the impact during construction and the construction duration, as you can see here, is 4 to 6 months, starting next week. And it will go down to a single lane during weekdays from 8:30 to 3:30. We are coordinating with Garden Place to make sure that we're minimizing impacts to pick up and drop off. There will be uniform traffic control in place to support the flaggers during some of those critical times to make sure that we are impacting neighbors and parents and picking up kids impacting as little as possible. So that's about the end of my knowledge. Are there any questions or things I can follow up on either of these two projects?
Did you see any hands raised? Anthony? No?
Do not.
Okay.
Okay.
We will continue to bring you updates and send those around ahead of time as well. We are really making a comprehensive effort to try to get ahead of all the construction that is on the books that we know is coming over the next 18 to 24 months and make sure that we're minimizing impacts to these communities.
Any other comments, questions around Nwca's update? Okay, now we have opportunity for public comment and is there any comments, information that any of our participants would like to share? AE?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to, for facilitation purposes, I don't think people that view the videotapes of these Zoom meetings after the fact can see the comments. So could the facilitators read the comments before they answer them so that those listening to it get a verbatim understanding of what's being responded to?
Great suggestion. We'll do that.
Thank you.
Thank you, AE.
I'm sitting out of you guys did the Gems and Fossil show, right? A few weeks ago.
Yeah, I think it's Gem and Mineral. I think the fossil show is a totally different show.
Just remember. But then you guys opened up the bridge area, right?
Fair.
The underpass? How was that?
I don't know. Can't answer that question. Don't know.
We
if
can
any
get you an
complaints or
answer
issues.
from Ryan. Ryan would have been around
Okay.
during the weekend to know.
I don't know of any complaints or issues that came out of it, or how much staffing it took, but
Yeah, or I will take some numbers just in case we do events, so we can have more access towards spur.
Do you attend the campus coordination? Marcy does, right?
Nwca does,
Do
yes.
you, though?
I don't know specifics on that event. I do know that we are working on some additional fencing and gates and other things to make it, to be able to open that on a more regular basis. At least from the construction side, the capital improvements necessary, there's still operational costs between the authority or WSSA, whomever else. But yes, we are actively working to make that an easier connection.
Any other comments, questions?
Seeing none?
No? Okay, another short meeting. Thank you, everybody, for joining us this evening, and we'll see you next month. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a wonderful evening.